Good morning. Got up early. I stayed up late. I stayed up late to do a lesson in the midst of all this work I'm doing. Told you I was going to try to fit everything in. Work schedule and this. Because I find this is very important. And the Bible is so large, you know. And there's some interesting stories that need to be uncovered in here. And so I'm spending my time doing that. And I actually slept on this one last night in a way that it should go a little easier than normal. But basically, what happens is Daniel, the book of Daniel, it's a each one of these books has something else to say, something pertinent to say about this world of God. And in this particular case, what happens is they're telling us it actually winds up being about worlds, believe it or not. That this it's not going to wind up just being 4 chapters. There's plenty of them, but I only went from 1 to 7. All right. And how it works out is that we find at the beginning that Jedom, the king of Judah, God has delivered him this area into the hands of the king Nebuchadnezzar, which means that they captured the Holy Land, and that this guy here is going to enforce other rules. But he's asked to have the best of this city, because now he rules over it, and he's looking for the best of that group. And of course, he comes up with 4 people that he has come up, and these are called the Chaldeans, and these are guys that are lovable and sweet, beautiful beings. All right. So these are the children of Judah. And in our stories, Judah, people that are in this camp, are people who pitch their tent to the east. What pitching the tent means is those people that actually go in and worship the Lord. This tent is this idea of the mind, this place, this vehicle, this is the tent. So when you pitch your tent to the east, this is the whole idea of this traveling situation, because you're moving your mind from the west, which is the intellect, which is the dark side, and you're changing it by going through the emotions and using the body as the vessel, and we finally make it over here to the east, the mountainous side, the higher side, where the holy people are and the saints and all that stuff are. But what we're finding is right off the bat is that they're talking about kingdoms. This is a battle over the kingdom, and you are basically 2 kingdoms in one. You have heaven and you have also earth. And this is where earth comes in. Earth is coming over and is forcing these people into doing something other than they're used to doing. And that means worshiping his God, or worshiping anything other than the one that you're worshiping. And what happens is you'll see when it comes to worshiping, you can either worship and look at something and you're worshiping that idol, you're worshiping something and you're looking at it. But what we do is we repent and we look and we work in. We repent once we've learned and go inside. And we basically shut down. We're not picturing anyone or anything. We're actually trying to shut the mind off. And that includes the visuals. All right? But they wind up with the children of Judah. He winds up with Daniel. Let's see. I'm not sure how to say a lot of these words. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. But this is 4. So you're looking at your kingdom. Daniel's going to represent the intellectual side. Hannah's going to be the emotional side. Mishael is going to be the physical side, and this Azariah is going to be the beautiful side. And because what you do is you take the names of what their names are, and these guys are being taken out of the king of Judah, and Judah is the beautiful side of this place. This is the higher realm of this Babylon, You have Babylon in the plain, and you have this place up here in the mountains. So Daniel, his name means God is my judge, right? That's us. That's basically us, the intellect. Hannah, whatever. Yahweh has been gracious, and Michelle is one who asks for Lent, or who asks. Let's just say, Jesus, you went in and got your help. All right, well, they have a name change because he's now, they've come down. They have to go back to some other kind of name. But it was given up by the king, one of the kings, the prince of the eunuchs. All right, and that's where you get the words Belshazzar, Czar, whatever. And you get Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, or something like that. I hope you don't mind me talking like that, because I don't care to have to pronounce them correctly, but I can see them and spell them correctly. But what it does is it means that from the other four, is protect the king, and the second one means tender nipple, which means it's supposed to mean like it's sweet and soft, and that actually is your it's a female side of us. It's our emotional side. So that tender nipple to sup from, all right. And of course we have that massage is that that draws with force. When you are drawn with force, this is that idea that even we're going up there for this kind of a lynching of some kind, and at the same time, you are like Moses is drawn out of the water. We're all being pulled out. So you might say that that's what that means. But that abadegading nigga, whatever, Nego says servant of light, shining. All right. So it's still working with the force. It's still working as we're going from this carnal mind over to the other side. It's Daniel's purpose is what he's done. He says, I'll serve you, but I'm not going to follow you. I'm not going to drink your wine, and I'm not going to I'm not going to eat your meat. I'm going to try not to defile myself. I'm going to make sure that I don't. All right. And so what he gets is he gets pulse and water instead of meat and wine. And of course, this idea of going up for meat, when you'll find out that idea of meat is that meat is that idea of you being the tree, and this will be the meat for you. And of course, that's going to show up a little later. Now let's run into chapter 2, where we have this king, Nebuchadnezzar. He has a dream. Nebuchadnezzar has a dream. And in this dream, he is a bit moved by it. And he calls on the magicians, the astrologers, the sorcerers, and the Chaldeans. All right? Well, remember, this is how they are working, and the Chaldeans are the good guys at the end. No one can figure out his dream. And so what the dream is what happens is he winds up searching for everyone, and nobody wanted to do it. And then he calls up these other guys, these Chaldeans and Deans, and they said, this is unlawful to just tell you these things. We can't do that. It's like soothsaying and stuff like that. But he's going to say, I'll kill you if you don't do it. I'll have your heads and stuff like that, And so they were really scared. So they put out a decree out to chase after the 4 boys from Judea. And so instead of doing that, Daniel says, I'll tell you, tell me the story and I'll give it to you. And then there's this long drawn out story. Now, this is what's interesting about this wonderful dream, is what he does is this king, he sees this image. And Daniel says that he'll take this. He's learned this in his night vision. So this night vision comes in a bunch of times. And it's not just Daniel that shares this. A little later on, we have a king that sees this in his night visions. All right? And so what we have is, we have the head was made of fine gold, he said. And he saw a breast, and the arms were made of silver. He saw the belly and thighs were made of brass, and that the legs, let's see, the feet were made of iron. Let's see, what did it say? Belly and thighs were brass, legs of iron, feet part iron and part clay. And he saw a stone being removed from the mountain without any hands, and smote the image on his feet and break them in pieces. Everything broke. He says what happens is then he saw that the gold and the silver and all these things were brought into pieces, and they were blown away by the wind. So what we get is we get this iron mixed with clay. This means to separate. This is that idea that this is, you've gone down now instead of being one, that this particular thing now separates. So you have the gold and the silver and the brass. Well, what he's saying is that you're actually being, later on we'll see how this works, but it's the brass side of us. We've taken the lower, which is the emotion. And that's why we're trying to get the brass out, later on. So it's just making more sense as we go. But iron and clay don't mix. They're separated. And this is on our feet down in Pisces, which is the directionals of us. We can go this way or we can go that way. That's what Pisces means, the fish. You can go this way or you can go that way, But you can't get them to go the same way, they don't mix. And of course what happens is they say that the iron shatters, and the clay can be remolded into something else. So it's really beautiful symbolism. Alright. So now on to chapter 3. Aren't we moving quick? Alright. On to chapter 3 we get the king's image of gold and the 60 cubits. It's oh my goodness. What am I going to find out here? Chapter 2, chapter 3. 60 cubits height. What he's done, what Nebuchadnezzar has done, is he has created an idol. He's created a golden god, and he has made a decree that everybody has to, when they hear trumpets and when they hear a noise, this is like Islam. When you hear it, you have to stop and you have to bend in the direction of this thing and worship it. And those people that don't do it are going to be killed. They're going to be thrown into, is this one the one where they throw them into the fire? Yes, this is the one where they take them in the burning fire. This has got the cool stories in it, I tell you, man, it really is. So they had to worship this golden image, and they're not allowed, those 4 men. Well, they look around and said, everyone's doing it, but these guys, oh yeah, but he really, what the hell? He just told me the dream. Oh, what a wonderful thing, So he tells them that, that you are this, you are the head of this, but you're being ruled by the gold, the brass side, and that his kingdom was going to fall. Someone was going to come take it over. All right. So what we have in here is we have what happens is it's kind of like a pissing contest. It's, I'm going to put you in fire. And actually what he does is he goes and he grabs 3 guys because he really likes Daniel, but he gets his 3 buddies, all right, the other 3, and bind them and throw them in the fire. And he says, if you have God, your God will deliver you, stuff like that. So what happens is he tosses these guys in there. And it's heated the furnace up 7 times hotter than it normally is to really burn the fuck out of these guys, right? So what happens? He tosses in 3, and they put this, and close the door and watch. And while they're in there, they bend down into the fire. These guys that they knelt down inside the fire. And it said, didn't we put 3 people in there? Tell me, didn't we put 3 people? It says, yes. Well, why do we see 4? There's 4 of them walking around in there, they're not being burned. It seems like, what is this? And it kind of looks like the image of Christ inside of there. So anyway, so this is actually that the Redeemer has come and saved them, and that's what happens when you go into this. So remember, they're connected. They're connected into this thing, and these stories are symbolic. And so as the story goes, they are just freaked out over this idea and said, wow, check this out, you guys, come on out. Obviously, your God is strong. And what happens is this becomes the conversion, all right? Because we're trying to change the worlds, and that's what this book of Daniel is about. It's showing you what you have, what you start out with. Just add a little bit of light into your life, and all kinds of beautiful things come to life. All right. So what we got is the king. Let me see how it is. That what they were doing, they had been loosened of their binds while they were in there. Not one bit of their hair was singed. No hurt came to them whatsoever, and they were unbound. All right, unbound. And it says that we will not worship any other god. And a new decree was made. So this was the conversion of Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Beautiful little story. And let's see. And he set this thing up in the plain, a place called Dura. That's where he had made it. It's really about when they say truly this generation shall not pass away and stuff like that. That's what they mean by generation. This is the people itself. Whoever is alive at that moment in that time. All right, so we get into chapter 4, and a king has another dream, and the vision of the vision of mine held in my bed. He's having a night dream. He's having this, and what he saw was he saw a tree in the midst of the earth, and it grew and was strong, and it reached up into heaven, and it was meat for all. All right. That's that idea that the tree is meat. Remember, the tree is us. You and I are the growth. And it's old growth. It's just showing him, that's grown tall. And so what happens is the beast of the field had shadow underneath it. Did you understand? We're the beast of the field, and we have a shadow underneath us. All right. And fowls of the air of heaven dwelt among his bowels, and all flesh was fed of it. All flesh. He saw a watcher and a holy man, and they came down from heaven, and they cried aloud to hew down that tree, to cut off its branches and shake off its leaves, scatter its fruit, let the beast leave from under it, let the fowls from under it, and the fowls from its branches. Leave the stump. All right. So he had this dream. He's going to interpret it, and again the same thing happens. Someone has to interpret this dream. And so what do we have? No one can do it. All now, and those who walk in pride. Okay. I didn't write it in there because what it is you're going to chop that tree down, you're going to leave it to the root, and you're going to allow it to regrow now. This whole idea of chopping you all the way down doesn't kill you. It takes you to the root and brings you right back to life again in this new place, in this new plane. This is a positive story, all right? It's the conversion, like I said. We have now taken him from one to the other. So his first dream was of this statue-like person, and showing where all there is, the gold and the silver, because it's really our hands. This is, taking that silver, because this is where the strength is, and this is where God is. All right. Let's go to chapter 5 now. Chapter 5 is going to be, and did you notice about the worlds? Did you notice about those worlds? Let's see how those things go again. Wait, that was in chapter 3, right? Oh, well, let's just put that back again. Gold, silver, brass. Okay, that's talking about 5. That's talking about the skin itself. That's what that is. All right, so let's see here. Let's go on to number 5. 5 itself, chapter 5. 5 should be about your skin. All right. It's called the Master of the Treasure. All right, that's what this Belshazzar name means. This here, he's a second ruler of these kingdoms. There's 4 kingdoms, and there's 4 rulers in them, and this guy is in charge of the second one. Can you imagine which one that one is? This is going to be your emotions. This is a guy who keeps... What they did is they went in and they sacked Jerusalem, the Holy Land, and they've taken all of the gold and the silver and all those cups and things that were in there, and they've taken them for themselves. And so what they do is they start off with this great big feast, and all their guys are drinking and eating out of all these things, but when they're done eating and drinking out of all these things, they praised the gold, they praised the silver, they praised all these things, but they did not praise God, who's, you just drank out of my cup. That's what he's saying. You drank from my cup, boys and girls, but you didn't do the works. So what he's saying is, and to tell you the truth, it's like, I just kind of tricked them in a way. And so these, what they saw, this is the cool one. A creepy hand came out of nowhere, and he was watching this, and it was by the candlesticks, and they wrote on the wall, the plaster wall behind it, and it wrote these words. Do I have it on this one here? Well, anyways, let's go from here first. This creepy little hand went by the candlesticks and wrote by the plaster on the wall of the king's palace, which wrote in the well, what happens is his countenance is what he's like. He's scared now. He's a little. It's not the same. It's disturbing. And remember, these are troubled waters that causes change in people. It's disturbing. The red, the Red Sea is disturbing, and these things you don't go to him because Daniel, he just sits down and goes to him, but whenever you're on this other side, it's scary, because you're just not ready for it, So what happens is he has changed. This is another thing. This is something written on the wall, and he's looking for someone to find it, and he's going to do the same thing. If you don't do it, I'm going to throw you to the lions and stuff like that. So here, I got to know. So his queen tells him, well, because no one in his kingdom. He calls for everyone. No one can do it. The queen tells him he's heard of this guy named Daniel that did wondrous things for Nebuchadnezzar. Maybe you can call on him and he'll help you out. All right. So I will take. So what he does, he says, I'll give you something of gold, a necklace of gold, and a nice raiment and stuff like that, if you can help me understand this message. And says he drank. So when Daniel finally shows up, all right. He says he doesn't want the riches, but later on it's given to him anyways. But it's just interesting how it is, because you don't want to get paid for helping people go into this. Just the idea is it's just not something that you pay for with your money. You pay for it with your life, all right? Because your life is worth more than money, all right? Money is the root to evil. He says, I'll take nothing from you, but I will interpret your words. It says, you drank. What it says is that you drank from these things and you praised, and that's how I've already kind of told you. He drank from these things and he didn't praise the Lord for it. And so what he got was there's these words, meeny, tekel, and upsharon. There's 4 words for the world. So what his interpretation is meeny. It says God hath numbered the kingdom and finished it. He's brought you into it. He brought him into it, regardless of whether or not he knew what he was doing. Tekel, that's 2. Meeny, that's both sides are now numbered, and there's 1. All right. That's what meeny, because he only tells you what 1 means, the word meaning. But 2 is actually the 2 of you, the left and the right side coming together. Remember, he was just broken apart in this other story, this idea that there'd be 2, all right? But he's keeping all the gold, and everything is up in here, so this is representing our emotional side. The other one is Tekel. He was weighed in balances and found wanting. It's like he really wanted this change. He did, so in his mind he was found He was judged and he was found wanting. And we have Perez at the end, and it says the kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. And of course, this is showing that this is the idea that, right now, this is the direction of this. In the case, the Medes are the normal people, and the Persians would be the better guys. All right, the higher side. And what it does is this helps him out in a way. He's made ruler of. He says Daniel to be the third ruler of the kingdom. He's going to be the third one later on, which is kind of strange in some ways. But what you're going to get is to understand this is that meeny. All right, meeny. The 2 is actually on the number 25 of Scripture. So that's 7. So they're meeny, something's, he's made it here. He's made it up there. Tika, weighed in balances and found wanting. That's number 9. That means he's applied for a higher conscious. And of course, Perez is the number 27, and that means 1. And it says, thy kingdom is divided and given to the Medes and the Persians. That's the current state of his mind. That'd be 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. And so what happens is because Daniel did this, this Belshazzar said, I'm going to make you this leader of the third kingdom or something like that. All right. And in the night, remember, people get their name changes when this happens. And in the night, Belshazzar, the king of the Chaldeans, which is, the good side, was slain. And Darius the Median took the kingdom. All right. And this was Darian was 62 years old. That comes to the number 8. 8 is control. He made it. He made it over to the. And this name Darian means he that informs himself. All right. You can't get any cooler than that. All right. So we got to find 6. Where's 6? Where's my 6? All right. So here we get King Darius. All right. And what he has is he calls the presidents and the governors and the princes and the counselors and the captains all together. All right. This is 6. This is everyone gathering together. We're getting ready for something to happen. So King Darius, the man, when you finally go, this is the emotional side of us, has brought us all together. He made a decree that no man or any man for 30 days. So what happens is he says no one can do anything or praise any God for 30 days. All right, even though he made it. All right, now watch. This is the other guy made it. This guy now it's his turn. All right, this is his turn now. He has to change. But what he's done is he just made a decree that no one can worship any god of any kind for 30 days. All right. And so that's 3, that number 3 coming in. And so we get Daniel, knowing this, went inside his house. And though the window was open, he bent down and he worshipped his God 3 times a day. Now that might be a neat number there. That 3 times a day, that idea that you could do it maybe in the morning, you can do it in the afternoon, you can do it in the evening. This is just bringing him into your, just taking a break from the outside world. Just sit down on the toilet, any place, but just kind of just shut off from the outside world 3 times a day. Well, some of the king's buddies saw, oh my goodness, those 4 guys are doing it their own way again, and he said, good, they're going to throw him in with the lions this time, Well, anyways, they found Daniel. He ran off and got Daniel, and they threw him in the lion's den, put a rock over top of him and says, let your God save you. This is the way it works. So he's been thrown into the lion's den. This is that idea, Jason gets thrown into the pit. We're all like stuck in this, we're all on this lower side of us. And here he's taking this beautiful thing, throwing it into the pit. so that your God save you. So an angel came down and closed the mouth of the lion so that he could not be hurt by it. And in the middle of the night, this guy, he had a hard time sleeping, and he just, oh my God, and he runs out and he says, Daniel, and a sheepish-like voice, Daniel, you're still there, oh my God. And he sees him in there, doesn't have a problem with him at all, and he says, truly, your God is something else. So he changes his decree, and he says, no, from now on, everyone who talks bad about this guy's God's going to have trouble. So it's just another conversion going down. All right, so what happens is the king couldn't sleep, la 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 la. Daniel was taken out of the den, and they called the peoples and the nations and the languages, and peace be multiplied in you. And there was a new decree that every dominion of this kingdom, men trembled with fear before the God of Daniel. All right, and Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius. And Darius means he possesses rich and kingly. And the height of Cyrus, during the reign of Cyrus, the Persian. All right, so they were just saying, they're just setting it all up. So the last thing, which is what I started out on yesterday when I did this, because it was this idea of Daniel 7. A lot of people use this as a end time prophecy. But you remember that the number 7 is the Lord's day. And it is the end time for you if you were in the old mind. Remember, you're being saved by changing your mind. All right? Now I'm going to read into this one here. It goes like this. It says, Daniel means God is my judge. And Chaldea means as demons and as robbers. So here I had said it was better. Those people that were of the Chaldea as, so that's why they had to change. All right, Chaldea, if you looked it up, it says as demons, and so is robbers. So why not see that in number 7? Because remember, whenever those 4 musicians wind up going and finding that little room in the woods, right? Those were robbers. They said, look, the room was full of robbers, and they had all these goods in there, and food and all this stuff. And they said, we want that. How can we get rid of them and take their spoils? So, it's this idea that both sides trick each other, It's just very interesting way it works. But anyways, he saw a vision by night, and beheld, there was 4 winds of heaven, and it stove up the great sea. All right, here's our troubled water coming into play. All right, so we know that he's going into meditation because he just told us that he had in his night vision, and he was kind of worried about it. All right, and of the 4 great beasts which came up from the sea, and the diverse one from one another, means they were all different. Remember, the 4 beasts right now is the 4 worlds, the 4 parts of our minds, which is going to be the intellect, our emotions, the physical side of us, and the spiritual side. All right, and those actually become. This was like a lion. Remember, this was that idea. He was thrown in the pits last one. So this first one was like a lion, right? All right, that means the intellect. That's the intellect. It's just I know what I'm doing. I'm smart. So that means the intellect is running things. All right, that's not the good thing. That's not the good side. That's why it's black. Darkness always is coming over against the white. Cain is killing Abel. That's how it works. All right. So the first one was like a lion and had eagle wings, and they were plucked off. He was made to stand on the feet of a man, and was given a heart, given a man's heart. And of course, that's number 4. 5, and behold, another great beast, the second, like a bear, and it raised up itself on one side, and it had 3 ribs in its mouth and between the teeth of it, and it was given the command to devour much flesh. All right, this is from the north. And I beheld, lo, another, like a leopard, that was on the back of it had 4 wings of a fowl. 4 wings of a fowl. And on the back of a leopard. They're talking about their skin. That's you and me, because we can change. You know, you ever hear about that? You know, can a leopard change its spots? In this situation, is you're losing spots. You know, this is the idea that a leopard is about confusion. You know, that's the way it is. And in this particular situation, when you're in this lower mind, that's about confusion. And what you're wanting to, and those are the spotted sheep, spotted anything, is you can be this beautiful person on the side of your mind. No matter what you do, it's spotted, all right? Just the way it goes, all right? And what you're looking for is clean sheep. You know, when you clean yourself, you come out with white robes and everything is white and pretty and there's no spots and nothing, something like that. No blemishes, all right? And, you know, you don't have to try not to be unblemished from the outside. He wants you to come as you are, but when you finally make this trip through the water, you're taking out your clothes, you're taking all that stuff by. It's so that it doesn't interfere in the long run, because you're taking it up there and cleaning it up, you know. So anyways, that's how that one works, and it has dominion over everything. All right. After this he saw in his night visions, and behold, a 4th beast. It's dreadful and terrible and strong, exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. That iron is the opposite of something like, you know, the stone. Or, you know, the stone, the idea. Remember in the last bit that idea that they took the stone out, you know, this is, you know, and then what happened in its place was a giant mountain grew in its place. It's very interesting. I considered the horns. It had like 10 horns on it. 10 horns is the 5. 5 is your skin, and it's in duality. And so, you know, it's just 2 sides. And he saw it with 10 horns. It means that it hadn't been brought into 1 yet, which would, you know, bring it just into 5. But this thing had 10 horns, and it brought up something else with it. All right, there was a smaller horn. Now all these other people, one of these guys out there who says he reads for symbolism, he says that little horn there is President Obama last year, and now he's saying that little horn is, you know, Trump. Let me tell you, none of these people none of these people are the kings that they're talking about. Kings and stuff are the outside world that are representing, forcing you to do things differently than what your Bible or other things tell you to do. They just have a whole nother route for you to go than this one, all right? And remember, they're the kings, so you're going to do it my way or it's the highway, baby. You know, well, we take the highway. We take the highway because we're not going to do it what they say, all right? Okay, what do we have here? And behold, he was watching. He stayed there and watching as if the thrones were thrown down, which means they were being cast aside. All right. And a fiery stream issued forth and came forth from him, and thousands upon thousands ministered him, and thousands upon thousands stood before him. The judgment was set, and the books were opened. Those are your 7 books. Your chakras. Thousands upon thousands. That's all these people that come along with the help, because they're the tiny scrubby bubbles that are going through and making sure that every part of you is cleaned good. And behold, because of the voice of the great words which the horn spoke, that's the little horn. And behold, even until the beast was slain, and his body destroyed and given to the burning flames. You've been cleaned the hell out, all right? And he stayed and watched until it happened, all right? Well, this is, him watching, he's being cleaned out. Because, see, you live in this world, you want to get shit. So one night he's going to go and clean it all up. And it says, and concerning the rest of the beast, the other 3, their dominion was taken away, yet their lives were prolonged. for a season and a time. So, for a long time. That's a good idea. So, everything was governed by that fourth kingdom. When that fourth kingdom was destroyed and then, later on rebuilt, that this, by the little horn, what you get is, actually it's one horn. You go from the 10 to 1. It's beautiful. But anyways, I saw in my night vision and beheld one was like the Son of Man, came with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near before him. And there was given him dominion and glory over a kingdom that all people, nations, and languages should serve him. His dominion is an everlasting dominion, which shall not pass away, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed. So this is a wonderful little. We don't ever lose it. We won't. Once we connect to this thing, we may venture some distance from it, but we'll come back. It's this idea. We know where to go for the gold. We know how to get ourselves restored. And that's what it means to, the salt and preserves and stuff like that. And in the Old Testament, it's remembered. God remembered them. All right? So Daniel was grieved at these things, and he's, this idea that this grieved in my spirit in the midst of my body. He grieved for the spirit in the midst of his body, which is I'm going to say that the Son of Man is in the solar plexus, all right? And I came near to them and stood and asked him the truth of all this. So he got up to one of these beasts to ask for the truth. What's going on here? What's going on here? He says, these great beasts, which are the 4 kings which shall arise out of the earth. But the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever. Forever and ever, even ever and ever. All right? So then I would know the truth of the 4th beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron. So they start talking about it again. And what he did is, and he stamped the residue with his feet. So, this is just some monster, it's just what they're representing as religion, or your mind, this right, the eastern side, your spiritual side, is more of a monster than it is, anything loving. That's really the direction of this, all right? And then the 10 horns that were in his head, and the others which had came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of the horn that had eyes, and the mouth that spake many great things, whose look was made was more stone. Was more stout than the other fellows. All right, so this would be, the one with the little eyes. This is that you coming in. This is that little guy that they're talking about. I beheld, number 21. I beheld on the same horn was made war with the saints, and prevailed against them. So this little thing brought about a war against these things and prevailed against them. Until the ancient days came. Is that what it says? Came? Yeah. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So after a bit of a struggle, the saints regained control over the kingdom. Thus it says, for the beast shall be the 4th kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and shall tread down and break it into pieces. 5. This is if we keep it on the other side, you're going to be broken in pieces, and that means to be split in two. Because you're one to be one. So that's what it means. You break your kingdom into pieces. All right. And the 10 horns of these kingdoms, the 10 are 10 kings that shall rise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from all the first. The idea that this fourth one is basically the boss. All right, so we're getting down to the last 4 parts of this thing, and I'm going to end this. All right. Number 25, we have, and he shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws, and they shall be given unto his hand until a time and times, and the dividing of times. But the judgment shall sit, and they take away his dominion. And this is consume and destroy it unto the end. All right, so this is 8. 8 is a control. Well, number 26, 8 is a control. But the judgment shall sit, and they'll take away his dominion, and they'll consume and destroy it till it ends. Number 9, which is 27. And the kingdom and dominion and the greatness and the kingdom under the whole heaven will be the greatest kingdom under the whole heaven, shall be given to the people of the saints and of the Most High, whose kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and all dominions shall serve and only obey him. And what do we get on number 28, the very last piece of this pie, which becomes, actually we're going to stick it as a 10, which is 1. It's a completion of some kind. It's a beginning. It's a new beginning. That's what that is number 1. Here there too is the end of the matter. As for me, Daniel, my cognations much troubled me, and my countenance changed in me. But I kept the matter in my heart. It's just beautiful. This is a positive story. All of these are positive stories that you can't just help but that the outside world makes them into something evil. So it's really the idea, and I've only gone that far. There's probably plenty more going on. I'd like to do the 1, 2, 3, the number system to 7. And of course this shows 8 is actually becomes this you're in control now, and they're looking for high 9s and things like that. So it's just wonderful symbolism, and the book of Daniel, I'm going to just turn it on while I'm working today and listen to the last parts of it. It's over an hour, and so it's a long chapter. I'd like to see what happens. What else is he going to do? Because right now he's changed 3 people. No, Nebuchadnezzar, he's changed Nebuchadnezzar. He's taking care of that. Oh shoot! I don't want to mess it up for you guys. You already heard who they are. Second kingdom guy, and then we have this new dude. There's like 3 of them that have been converted, and the number 7 is just actually him telling you the story. This is what happens, because he says, tell me, what is this? So it's really not him being cleaned down, but he got them. This is the word, and he was being shown the way, and that's what he was asking for. He says, what is of this? And he says, the 1, 2, 3, they're nothing really, but they have now lost their dominion. They no longer have, this thing doesn't have control over them anymore. And then they fight it and kill it off, and bust it into pieces. And now it doesn't have any reign over you ever again. So those are the first parts of the book of Daniel, and it's just the idea of changing your mind. Going through the judgment. Remember, the judgment seat's been given to you. You're the one that judges yourself. All right. It's been given into the hands of Jesus. And there's people that say, Jesus is the Lord. Jesus can do nothing on his own. You have to get him moving, and then he takes you up to the Father, and the Father takes care of all this stuff. So, don't put all of your eggs in one basket. You have to understand that, the basket's important too. All right? So, beautiful day to you guys. And I hope this helped you out in some way. If it did, put a little like or something on there. I have to see if someone is even understanding any of this stuff. All right? Beautiful day. This is the Word of God. The truth for change. Have a beautiful day.